everybody. This is another episode of Off the Bench featuring myself, Ryan, as well as Q, the sixth man of Dead in Sports. Hello, Q.
What's going on, everybody? What's good?
Hey, not too much, not too much. Just this big news that just happened with the Cavaliers. David Blatt just got fired
Surprising.
out of nowhere. I mean, who would have thunk it?
Yeah. I mean, who would have thought, man? This is what, episode 2, and we've already got a head coach firing.
Meanwhile, Byron Scott's still prospering out in these streets.
I mean, he's prospering because that tank, but I don't want to get into that
True,
right now.
true.
So Ryan, let's tell them what we're going to be talking about today, man.
All right. First things first. Obviously, we're going to talk about David Blatt and his firing because that's the biggest buzz, and that will be detailed in Dead in Sports. Obviously, they released their reaction video, but we're going to go into a little bit more details. A lot of reports came out from Adrian Wojnarowski, all these different things from coaches commenting about it, calling out Cleveland for basically, being championship or bust and being unfair. As well as we're going to give you some more trade talk update. There was another trade that happened, but you may not be thinking exactly the typical trade. It involves more cash than a player. The third topic we're going to talk about, since we're at the point, today's the 23rd when we're recording this, but it is less than a month till February 18th, which is the trade deadline, and we're going to hit that point. It's already past the midway point for the season, and a lot of teams are basically making their decisions. Okay, who are we going to trade for? Are we going to trade? Who's going to tank? And who's going to, try to get their gears all set to go make a push for the playoffs?
Yes, sir.
All right. So first things first. David Blatt, Framingham native.
I think we should just start with how he came to be the coach, so we can just eulogize him so eloquently, because it's rest in peace to that man and his job. And I feel like we should just talk about this. Can I chronicle this just real quick?
Go ahead, give it to him. Drop the knowledge.
All right. So basically, let me speak on this. So David Blatt, from what I remember, he is he was a coach, I believe, in the Russian basketball league and one of those Euro teams, right?
Yeah, he went to a Russian championship.
Yeah, he went to a Russian championship, and I think he had the Stanford offense, and a lot of coaches revered him, saying that he has a revolutionary offensive, plan that a lot of teams could use in the NBA, and he needs to come over and basically revolutionize the game. That was the talk about him. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, the summer when LeBron was going to make the decision if he was going to leave Miami or stay
Decision
or go back to
2.0.
Cleveland. Yeah, Decision 2.0 was upon us, and LeBron ultimately gave the whole world no notice of if he was going to do it or not until a couple of days before I think Summer League started. And Andrew Wiggins had already been drafted by the Cavaliers number 1 overall. They already hired David Blatt, and David Blatt's assumption was that he's going to inherit a young developing team of Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie Irving, a couple players, okay? Fast forward, LeBron says, all right, Pat Riley, I'm out. Peace. He goes back to Cleveland. Everything changes, and he doesn't speak to Blatt for what? It was a couple of weeks or a couple of days or something. Anyway, it was an extended period of time that everyone made a huge deal about.
Yeah, didn't even acknowledge the guy.
Yeah, didn't even really, he didn't even, care, apparently. And that's what everyone was very upset about. But, LeBron, he does, the media darling he is, he will downplay anything to the maximum. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, I just didn't talk to him.
But it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. That's what LeBron does, and I kind of admire it. And, fast forward a little more, the Cavaliers are struggling. People are wondering, why isn't this team coming together? You have Kevin Love now. You have Kyrie Irving. It's a healthy Kyrie. You have LeBron James. And you all have lost, 14-plus games. And you've only won, I think it was 17 at the time. And everyone was wondering, is this coach really the coach, or has he been bamboozled? Did LeBron know this was going to happen? Did he even have input? Did he let David Griffin know? None of that. So fast forward a little more, NBA Finals, they lose. LeBron is obviously pissed because he doesn't have Kevin Love, doesn't have Kyrie Irving. And during the summer, we had some reflection on David Blatt's entire, season with the team, which we basically saw that, hey, this guy took a makeshift situation of inheriting three superstars. Well, to me, two superstars and one star. We'll get into that a little later.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think two superstars and a star, and he made it into a finals appearance. He beat the Bulls. He beat
the Celtics. 60 winning record. I think
60 wins, I believe. If not, it was in the high 50s.
Yeah, because he ended his coaching record as of now is like 83 wins or something.
Yeah, and fast forward a little more. They signed, a couple of free agents. They re-signed Kevin Love to $100 million. And Blatt talked about how him and LeBron are going to get Kevin Love involved in the system. They're going to get him incorporated, and everything is going to go swimmingly fine because Blatt's Stanford offense is going to just make everything so much better.
And LeBron
fast
said
forward a little more.
Yeah,
we have a lot of fast forwards.
LeBron basically said he's going to be the focal point of the offense.
Basically says that, and we all know that was BS from the start because it's LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. There's no way you're way that you're going to defer to Kevin Love, this is BS. And fast forward a little more to a couple days ago, David Blatt gets fired after, I believe, getting blown out by the Golden State Warriors, and by record margin for a LeBron James-led team. I think they were down 40 at one point. They were on pace for 140 points. They had scored 70 by the half. It was an utter ass beating. It was just sad. It was just sad. And I remember watching that game thinking they have to make a move. It's either Kevin Love or David Blatt. And that question was answered. And the answer was David Blatt has to go. For now. It could end up being both. We'll get into that in a little bit later. But that is the eulogy of David Blatt, man. May his career in Cleveland rest in peace. But I think we should reflect on this a little more. So let me ask you something, Ryan. Let me ask you, in one word, and expand upon it, but in one word, how would you describe David Blatt's time in Cleveland?
I would describe it as pretty uneasy ground. Pretty much that
it's tough, I know.
I just, it's like you get told you're gonna come in for a rebuild project to give your system, give it some hope, and then you pretty much get told by arguably the best player on the planet, and you have this whole thing shifted from let's start, a timeline, then to win now. Mm-hmm. And instead of giving a system, you're like put on the spot. And according to Brandon Hayward, if you remember, apparently this was David Blatt. Originally, he was a coach who had no problem talking to his best players, and actually took his best two off the Russian tournament off the court for I don't know, disrespect or something. Like they weren't doing what he asked. And now with LeBron, he couldn't even call him out for not getting back on defense. And David Griffin's the one doing it in the film study. So you could tell that either he was just intimidated or just, I don't want to say humbled, but you could tell it definitely affected how he normally, I guess, would coach. And it's not inaccurate to say he kind of became a fall guy for LeBron. I wouldn't say that's inaccurate.
Yeah, I basically echo a lot of the same sentiments. What I believe is the fact that when you have pieces like, Andrew Wiggins, hopefully you can rejuvenate a terrible Anthony Bennett into anything that resembles a first overall selection. Mm-hmm. You have people like Kyrie Irving there. You basically have two core players there already. You think that you are going to be building something worth talking about in a couple years. Because Kyrie is like 22, 23. Andrew Wiggins at the time, 18. Young pieces, very, very young pieces that have the ability to be cultivated and grown through this league to becoming superstars. I'm talking about household names. And if you're David Blatt, you're going into that situation thinking, okay, I have time, I have the patience of my ownership, of my management, and everything is going to go swimmingly because I know that I can develop talent. Wrong. LeBron James comes over, like I said, and he just basically messed up everything. So now David Blatt has to think, all right, I have to make this makeshift, situation into a championship or bust. And when you have, Kevin Love now, you have LeBron James, and you have Kyrie, and you trade Andrew Wiggins, and you trade Anthony Bennett, it's a bad situation to be in. And I've always felt that from the very beginning, Kevin Love and LeBron, they basically doomed him. And I've always maintained the opinion that if they had just kept Wiggins instead of Kevin Love, things could have gone smoother and this wouldn't have even occurred. But just the overall coaching of Blatt, you can't blame the fact that Blatt doesn't know how to handle people like LeBron and Kevin Love and Kyrie when that's not the situation he signed up for. To me, that's like, signing up, a lease for a car, and then you find out that the interest is 100 times more than what you signed up for. Like, I just bought a Honda, dude. This is like the interest of a Ferrari right now. This is not what I signed up for at all. This was not in the contract. And the ownership, like the dealership, is like, sucks to suck. Sorry. And I've always thought that was just unfair of the Cleveland management because they knew what they were signing him up for, and he knew what he was signing up for. But then you flip the script on him last second and say, all right, make do. Hey, you better get a championship. Hey, this better come together within the first 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're on the hot seat. In what world do we live in, obviously, where you can tell someone that they're in it for something and then completely reverse, course, and then get mad when they're not equipped to handle the course that you're setting them on? And I want to know from a Celtics perspective.
Oh,
that's like saying, all right, Doc, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to just have you, cultivate talent like Rondo, and we're gonna try and keep you, so we can, have the best last years of Pierce's career, right? And then ends up going out and saying, you know what, forget all that. You know what, we're gonna bring in Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. When the actual plan from all along was, hey, Doc, we're going to put this big three together, and we think that you have the best talent to cultivate this talent to get a championship. He wasn't told in Boston that, hey, this is just going to be a rebuild, because he knew what he was getting himself into. He was equipped.
He did that the first time. Let me speak on that. He did that the first time when he first came in with his contract, because Pierce, as you know, for the majority of his career, played like KG for Minnesota teams. He was the best player on the team, where they, as well as they did to get into playoffs, they never could get over the hump. And it was be like, I'm pretty sure Danny told the Dog, he said, look, we're trying to improve the team so we can have a contending team, and we're trying to get to that point. And the opportunity arose, call Kevin McHale in Minnesota. Can we get a trade for KG and Rayon, with Seattle gone, to try and nap him up during draft night? And the opportunity arose, okay, now we have the pieces with Rondo to basically, here's the point, you've been rebuilding since, early mid 2000s, all this time, you have the acumen, and now we have the team together, your system's in place, all you need is them to buy in, which of course with Doc's player coach rep, they bought in, with the way he can elocute his whole idea, is okay, now we're going to try to do the best we can to win, which they did in '08. And they went to multiple playoffs, either Eastern Conference Finals or NBA Finals for the next 4-5 years.
Yep. And I guess the point there is, for those who weren't wondering why I brought that up, is because Blatt did not have that notice. Like, I really don't know how many times I can reiterate that when you're signing up to build a house, and then people give you the impression that, hey man, take as much time as it needs to get built. Just make sure it's quality.
Right.
And then script on you and say, yo, I need this house built in 2 weeks, and if it is not the best house I've seen in my life, I have to let you go. And as a contractor, you would say, yo, dude, you just breached all kinds of code. But of course not in the NBA. We will look at, if the contractor is LeBron James, then people will give you a big pass. So I want to turn direction to what he had to work with.
Yeah.
And I think people will be blinded by the names, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love. Okay? I said earlier that two of the three were superstars.
One of them
And
you
I
could
want to
make.
get on Kevin Love. I want your opinion of Kevin Love. What kind
Okay.
of player do you think he is? Can you grade him
Okay.
on a scale from A through F, 1 through 10? It doesn't matter. Give
Okay.
me what your thoughts are.
Okay. So I'm gonna amend what you said a little bit. I think Kyrie is a budding superstar. He's not there yet, even though he has everything else. Basically, give him like another year so he can dominate. Because right now he's kind of like playing second fiddle to LeBron because LeBron's still playing first fiddle. Um, but Kevin Love, he he looked a lot better in his Minnesota days. That's for sure. Um, as a player, his impact, I'd probably go on a scale of 1 to 10, 7. Like, he's like it's like the sense with Boogie, like he's the best player on the team when he's the star player, and you can run your offense through him, like Boogie, but you may not get to those playoffs, and even if you do, you're probably not getting out of the first round. So he's not a superstar, but he's definitely above average.
Hmm.
Like, he's good. Is he great? Are we sure he's great? Um, I think he'd be more beneficial, as he proved when Kyrie was out, when it's just one other star, when you have two, at least the way Blatt was using the system. However he coached them. But he is a piece. He's a piece. But it. The way he's regressed, or the way he looks lost, or his defensive liabilities have been so enhanced now, it's like he just
It's just
either
bad, man.
either Tyronn Lue needs to figure out how to use him better, or he just needs to be on a different team. Which is why all the Kevin Love trades are coming out like, oh, he's first on the block, which understandably so, because unfortunately, we can put the narrative to. Can we put this narrative to rest that the Cavaliers could beat the Warriors if they had Kyrie and Kevin Love?
Thank you.
I
Exactly.
think we can put this all to rest because when you have the propensity or the potential to be blown out on a home court by 40 points, all cylinders clicking by the Warriors. I mean, I could even break it down like this. The Pacers played them last night, as a side note. They were shooting over 60%. The Pacers. Paul George, Monte Ellis, George Hill, and Miles Turner had a 31-point game too. And they were playing good defense. Their defense was not bad by any means. That's why I tweeted at you saying it seems that Eastern coaches that have a great defensive mind, Frank Vogel and Brad Stevens, are able to hang in with the Warriors. Like, they're able to stay within striking distance. They can handle them well.
Hmm. I
But
mean,
it's
what I understand is the fact that the pieces that Blatt had to work with, because we gotta stay focused there.
right.
What Blatt had to work with, if you can pull up the roster from year one exactly, so I can just give exact facts. But from what I remember Sean Marion, Mike Miller, James Jones, Dellavedova. I'm not even going to list, like LeBron and Kyrie and all those guys, because we all know that. They had Tristan. They didn't even have Mozgov. They didn't even have Shump. They didn't even have JR until the deadline. But after, they did acquire, okay? And I've always said that I don't like him on Shumpert. I'm sorry, I don't. I think he's the poorest of the poor man's Jimmy Butler, who will never flourish into anything but a guy who could maybe strap up for 3 minutes at a time. Because he's just one of those guys, man. I don't see anything with him besides a rap career, maybe. And I don't like his shot. I think his defense is above average sometimes. Sometimes he'll take plays off. I've seen it. Prove me that I'm wrong. I've seen him in the finals take plays off, leave Curry wide open off screens. It's ridiculous. J.R. Smith, he was always a streaky shooter. He can get hot. He can get ridiculously hot like Klay Thompson can, but Klay is way more efficient than him. He's a way more efficient two guard and always has been, just comparing the first 3 seasons. So, just those two main bench pieces already, they put so much on them as being the guys, like as LeBron likes to say it, he's in, the La Familia and whatnot. It's just so corny. And I just don't respect their bench. I see a Mozgov who is average at best. He's an average center. He can get you maybe at his peak. I think he's a 14-5 player at his peak. I don't think he's anything above that. I don't think he's anything below that if he's really on his stuff. And the reason that I believe that the Cavaliers struggle so much is the fact that they don't have an identity. And they don't know what their identity is. Are they the run and gun team that likes to go up the floor, push the rock like the Warriors do? Are they the pound inside type of team like the Memphis Grizzlies used to be? Just grind it out and then let your stars take over the last couple minutes? Because that could probably work. But David Blatt had to fight with LeBron James and all his players all the time because you could just see it was evident in that Utah game last year when when David Blatt was going at it with that referee who just wanted to, he wanted to get his point across. LeBron steps over and is like, yo, David, no, David, please stop. And it's just like, you're undermining your coach. And then you go on the media and you say, I was just, trying to help out my coach, man. It's just like, stop. Like, just stop. We know we know that you're the Bill Russell of this team when Bill was the player. We know this. We all understand LeBron. But you have to give your coach a chance. That's why I said on the last podcast, players need coaches, bro. Like, they're there for a reason. And that's so, simple to say, and that's so, like, easy to be like, oh, that's obvious. Of course it is. But a lot of people just think that these players can go out and just do this by themselves. Some coaches need to instill in their players discipline. They need to instill focus, and they need to instill a system for them to be good. Because some players are not good without systems. And that is evident how we're seeing, what's his name is? Dellavedova. And like, he's not good in any other system but this to be the specialist on defense. I don't think he could go to Memphis and do this. I think he would be a scrub. You know what I'm saying? He'll be a scrub on most teams. But a lot of players need a system. But LeBron fights tooth and nail with everything Blatt did, so they could never set up a system. They would never just let things take shape. And just because it is almost Black History Month, I'm gonna tie this in. Fred Hampton said in one of his speeches that people who practice their theory will always perfect it. So David Blatt, he has to practice his theories. He has to practice his system. And when you deny and you reject and you neglect his offensive acumen, you neglect his IQ as a basketball coach, he can't practice it, LeBron. He can't set up people in the corners to knock down threes and get you out on the break. He can't do that because you wanted to sign Kevin Love, who, in my opinion, is, like you said, a 7 as a player. He's a B- C+ player on a great team. And when he's on a trash team, he's a B+ A- player. Because I believe, in my personal opinion, Kevin Love is overrated. Kevin Love is not that good, like people say he is, and he's average. I don't think he's that good. I'm sorry, he's not. 30 and 30 means nothing to me. When you have no one else on the team to rebound, and you're an above average player on a bad team, you're gonna at least have one game where you go off. And that is definitely word to Jeremy Lin. Like, come on now. Like, and you cannot say that's like just, hate. I don't hate on LeBron. I don't hate on Kyrie. I don't hate on Kevin Love. I actually respect all of them as players. I can just tell when someone is not as good as they really are. So, my opinion, let me pose this question to you.
Okay.
if there is anybody out there who says, "Yo, we want Kevin Love, and we can give you let's say someone who would even be on an All-Star ballot,
Okay.
would you take that deal or not?"
If we were talking about the days from Minnesota, it'd be a completely different situation because I was reading this from it was Celtics blog. They were they retweeted some NBA writer, I forgot who his name was, about throwing. He said, "quote unquote," "This is my crack at a Kevin Love trade," and he posted his ESPN trade machine link.
Mm.
And all the Celtics fans were like, "No, no, 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 no," because it involved Jay Crowder, and we were just like, so Jeff Clark of Celtics blog, the head guy for the Twitter, excuse me, basically said, "I had to rewatch the Minnesota tapes to remind me how good he was, to remind me like what he could be, or to remind what he's capable of, because the the enshrinement, the accolades, all the hype, the good talk, the hype talk, all seemed to disappear after his first year in Cleveland. Like I lost the enamor with Kevin Love after this past year, and like even watching this again, I was just like, dude, I asked myself, I don't want to give up Jay Crowder for Kevin Love. No, Jay Crowder's having a breakout year.
Really?
And, yeah, if you look it up on the top 10
Straight up.
small.
No, I mean like straight up. If they were like, "Yo, Jay Crowder for Kevin Love,"
No, no,
really?
no, I wouldn't do it. Jay Crowder, if you look it up, he's in the for small forwards. He's in the top 10 for being in plus and minus for offensive and defensive efficiency. That list includes LeBron. That includes Kevin Durant. He's in the top 10. I think he's number 6 or 7 right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's that much of an impact, and he's getting national media buzz. There was some article written in Bleacher Report saying, Jay Crowder getting national media buzz now. Like, whoa. But if you look up the stats, like, the dude is, if you look up, that's why he's in the conversation for like most improved. Obviously, CJ McCollum's like the first on the list, but Jay Crowder's in the conversation.
I think Jay is like, I see a lot of Tony Allen there.
See, I would say I would feel you more with the Marcus Smart, but okay, I can see where you're going. But defensively, at least.
Yeah.
But
And offensively too. You remember when Tony was in Boston, man? He didn't have
oh yeah.
much. He really had to do much. All he had to do was strap up. Strap up on Kobe one time, and that was it.
Hey, Kobe says that's the best defender he ever had. Kobe said that's the best defender he ever gone up against.
Yeah, besides him and what's his name? Guy from the Suns that time. Oh my God, I forget his name, but regardless, whatever. Jay Crowder, yeah, I see him, but
stay on point.
But you mean to tell me that Brad Stevens could not fix Kevin Love?
Oh, I think he would be able to help him absolutely with the pace and space offense. He would probably help him with the defense because that's what the Celtics team is. We're defense first. We focus on defense because we make our defense turn into offense. That is the Bill Russell like state of mind, to put it bluntly. He would probably help him with his looking lost and his awful pick and roll defense.
Oh
but
God, dude, don't even bring that up.
That vine is hilarious. But I think he could. He'd probably get himself a lot more voted. But the thing is, if it involves Jay Crowder, I don't want to do it. Like, he's become a fan favorite for Boston Celtics fans. Like, people are talking about, I think it's between him and Marcus Smart for me, but the talks of, maybe in the future, near future, we should talk about giving him the captain's role because he's become, he has inherited the role of Kevin Garnett was on the Celtics in terms of being the vocal presence, that leader, just getting him back in shape. Yeah, he's become that role in the locker room because that chemistry, oh my God, that chemistry is brilliant. Is the chemistry's there? That culture in that locker room is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They know if some trades happen, hey, we're still going to be together. It's still a team. We still love each other. It's a team, all across the board. Even the people who are out of the rotation, I still got you up, gap you up, support you. Way to go, get back on, do it. That's it. Good job. But if it involved Jay Crowder,
just wouldn't do it.
I don't want to do it. Like if you told me I could get rid of, if it involved like Jerebko, Amir Johnson, Tyler Zeller, obviously. That's funny if you went back to Cleveland. Um, Evan Turner, yes. If it involved any of those players to cut the logjam just to get so we could have a better rotation with the power forward shooting to have a go-to option, then I'd say okay, why not? Brad Stevens could probably make him better than what he was doing in Cleveland, maybe look somewhat of a semblance in his Minnesota days. But if it involves Jay Crowder, no, his defense is way better.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
All right, because since David Blatt has been fired, a lot of speculation has come up as to, what really went wrong. And we've already touched on why why the thing didn't work. Right. But, all right, things happen. Yeah. For those who are, narcissists, okay, it doesn't matter. You're coaching LeBron James. Stop being mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, just deal with it. Those type of people. To please those type of people, let's talk about what he did wrong, okay? And I guess the main, talking point will be the ball sticks way too much in Cleveland. Too many bailout shots, bad pick and roll defense, lack of IQ from a lot of the entire bench. JR's basketball IQ is not all the way there. Iman Shumpert is not all the way there. Even Kevin Love's not all the way there, and he's a starter. No. So there's an issue of discipline, and there's an issue of identity, like I said. So if you can identify if you can just give me 3 things and that are most important to you as to why it didn't work, I would be very much appreciative, because I just think it's the fact that Black got bamboozled and he's the scapegoat.
Sure. Well, obviously the big one thing, like you said, he got the script flipped on him from the get-go. And he thought he was going to be... There's a picture of him with Andrew Wiggins at the Cleveland backdrop, thinking he's going to coach Andrew Wiggins, and then he gets traded. And then LeBron comes back home, and now it's like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for, so obviously that's a big thing. And I think the biggest thing, everyone who's a LeBron fan or stan, call a spade on this. When you're a brand new... think about this. You're a 20-year coach in Euro leagues, and you want to come to the NBA for the first time, and you want to start from the ground up. You're going to build the system, put the team together, and you're going to claim it as your own. But the script gets flipped on you, and you get what everyone referred to at the time as the best player on the planet, who has a name quite demonstrably bigger than the game itself to a degree, and whose ego has been inflated to the point where the man's name is King James. You don't think his ego is a little bit up, or intimidating, or overwhelming, or at least palpable? I mean, you could... That's gonna mess you up. Now, people say, he's a team first guy, or he...
Magic was a team first guy too, man. Let's keep that in perspective. I hate when people say that.
Right.
As much of a great guy as Magic was, as much as a great guy as he was, Magic will still get in your ass in practice. Yes. Like, yo, James Worthy, what are you doing, dude? Yo, make that cut better, or don't even come to practice. Kareem, you a legend, man, but you have to come out on this pick. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And he's gonna, still be friends with you after. But he's gonna go. Magic got his coach fired, and I think that's a huge parallel between.
Well, I was gonna actually bring that up.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Pat Riley, was, didn't Pat Riley have to? He was actually, wasn't it? Because this happened with 2 Laker coaches, brought to a finals and then getting fired the next year with a winning record. Because then that's why. Because Pat Riley did that to a coach, and then when he did it for Miami, to Stan Van Gundy, so that's pretty funny in itself. But anyway, but I think the difference you can make is, LeBron's doing that more now. I'd say he's getting that insanity, if you will, that hunger, like Kobe and Michael, Paul Pierce, KG, those guys that
I don't know if he really got it like that.
No, not on the same level, but he's doing it a little more. Being, as Ken put it, being that asshole.
He's about 2 years late. He's about 2 years late.
Absolutely. You're a little bit late getting in on that ass. He's
Like
been
Kobe's
that.
been like this. KG been like
There's a
that. You can't just be this one day.
there's a reason Wojnarowski has a beef with you when he, maybe like calling you out in his articles back in 2007, saying he's a little bit soft, or he's not doing enough for the winning plays, or he's not of the same cloth. Like, I mean, there's something to it. That's not. It may come off disrespectful. I get that,
But that's
but
not an unwarranted shot.
the results speak. Like,
They did.
I can't. How do I put this? David Blatt got put into a situation obviously he was not ready for a player who's been so championship thirsty, for a city that has been disenfranchised and tortured by not winning for since the Cleveland Browns in the 1960s by the great Jim Brown.
Shout out Jim Brown.
Like, how else do you put it? Like,
I mean,
it's such a. Doc Rivers said it best. He had one of the most pressured jobs in the NBA, because when you coach LeBron James, you are going to get scrutinized for everything.
regardless, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get heat.
You cannot win unless you win. And even then, you're probably still going to be discredited like Spoelstra because LeBron did it, not you.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, like, Eric Spoelstra, when he was coaching the Heat, bro, like, the thing that...
The big difference, you had Pat Riley.
Yeah, like, you had Pat Riley, the Godfather, in the background controlling everything. But the difference is, with Blatt and Spoelstra, is that they had a system set up, and one was trying to implement a system that couldn't get set up. So the problem is, when you are someone like Eric Spoelstra, you know that you're going to implement what Pat Riley's telling you.
Well, I think the thing was LeBron bought in because Pat Riley.
Exactly.
Because Spoelstra was under Pat Riley when Pat Riley ironically did this to Stan Van Gundy in the '06 season where they won.
Exactly.
And Spoelstra was under that tutelage, so he got a lot of his knowledge from Pat Riley. So it was like, okay, you learn from Pat Riley. You know, Pat's a great coach. You know, Lakers, Miami rings. I can't speak against him. He was he's got the ring. He's got more rings than I do.
Yeah,
To put it
he has
bluntly.
the hardware for sure.
Like, so,
And I think the thing that separates, the situation from the Miami situation is the fact that LeBron, I don't think he was as calculated going into this Cleveland situation as he was going into Miami. Because I think in Miami they all had an understanding that Bosh is gonna be this guy. Bosh understood from jump that he was going to be the third option. He knew that he was going to be the guy who, just hits that 17-footer.
People can appreciate Bosh more now. People can appreciate him more now.
Yeah, like, he might occasionally make the game-winning, block to, stop Danny Green from, tying the game up in Game 6. And he can play that role. D-Wade, second option, and some nights would be the first option. LeBron sometimes would be second option, some nights would be the first option. And clearly he was the second option in Dallas. So when you go into a situation like Cleveland, you see that the ball just sticks. And you see that they don't really have their system set up because they're not allowing David Blatt to cultivate a culture there. That they don't have a winning culture because they want to win automatically. You can't just go from, 0 to 60 in just one week. Yeah, and the reason why they fired him, man, I will maintain this to, the very end. He got bamboozled into thinking that he was doing a developmental project, and he ended up getting the keys to a big mansion that he didn't sign up for. And they told him to take care of it, or otherwise he's got to get out. And he couldn't take care of it because the guy who owns the mansion, who leased it to him, said that I need this thing to be upheld and made the best in the world. And he's like, yo, I thought I was just building this. I wasn't, supposed to make this into something that it wasn't already. So I think we already just, basically have gotten to the root of the problem. It's just, I think that the management, along with the players, people like Kevin Love, JR, Iman, they're just not good pieces for this team. And I think what Kevin Love represents is kind of just greed when you want to have a big three. I think the big three system can work a lot of times, but you have to be calculated in this. Paul Pierce compliments KG because they're cut from the same cloth, along with Ray Allen. Ray
Right.
Allen can pull up for three on spot ups.
Right.
Paul Pierce can play defense, and he has a great post game.
Right.
Kevin Garnett, he's the defensive anchor. He has a good post game, and he can attack the rim.
That sweet 18-footer.
Exactly, he can pop out. What is Kevin Love doing? Kevin Love is known to
sitting in the corner or sitting
Kevin
at the
Love
post of the three.
He's sitting in the corner, and and people always get mad when Kevin Love is not getting his shots, but when he's making his shots, everyone's everyone's riding him. Like, oh, he's the best thing that happened to Cleveland whenever he's making his shots. But when he's not making them, everyone wants to make excuses for him and say, oh, he's not involved because they don't get him involved. And just like Shaq said, man,
Well, he's not.
Shaq said that when he wanted the ball from Kobe, he would clap 5, 10, 20 times when he wanted the ball from Kobe until Kobe looked at him and said, all right, here, take it. And Shaq would go to work. Kevin Love is not doing that.
That might relate back to what you said about him not being a superstar.
Kevin Love is not a superstar. I've been saying this. He's a star in the NBA.
Because he does not view himself on the same plane as LeBron, obviously. Because LeBron,
to me, a superstar is someone who has the potential to put an entire team on his back and has them in playoff contention. That's LeBron James. That's a Kyrie, because Kyrie, his first 2 years hurt, and he was a rookie his first year. I think his third year, if they just had Wiggins in him, I think they would have been teetering on that AC.
I'm gonna withhold that, but that's why I said he's a budding superstar. He's not there yet, but he's closer than Kevin Love.
When you can drop 57 on a Popovich team, then you're a superstar to me. I'm sorry.
That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. But until he's by himself,
of course.
Like I said, it's LeBron then Kyrie to me. He's budding. He's right. He's young. He can still be a superstar, no question. But to go back on what was said, because this is probably gonna be a little bit longer podcast than normal because we've been talking about this for a while. We're gonna move on. Last thing, I'm just gonna comment on Dellavedova. Dellavedova's trash. Okay. Dellavedova's trash. Okay.
Yes, he has his moments.
No, he'll have it. A broken clock. A broken clock is right twice a day. That's Dellavedova.
He's making improvements on his defense. He's making improvements on his three-pointer, but he's just not.
I should not feel I can be a better player.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people feel like, I can lock this up. I can lock this. Deli caught Steph when Steph probably had,
he had a bad night.
He probably had too much to eat. He probably got in a fight with Aisha, and he just locked him up that one night.
Damn.
And everyone was like, oh, he's the white glove. He's Gary Payton. And he wasn't. And everyone wanted him to be so bad. And I was just like, y'all need to pump your brakes.
That's why. Apparently, if you watch the reaction video, FIFO said he put Ken on Deli for the past 3 years or something like that. And I just shook my head. You can see my face in that reaction. But I don't get it. He's not a defensive specialist to me. The only specialists he makes to me are dirty plays. Period.
Exactly.
But that's a topic for another day because there's an article about that. But moving on, basically to wrap that point up, David Blatt, did he deserve it? No.
He didn't.
As Stan Van Gundy put it, it's a results-oriented league. You can't even make a case, not even a flimsy case, as to why he deserved to be fired. There's something else going on. And obviously, you could say, LeBron's a factor since, according to Woj, he wanted Mark Jackson, and Rich Paul wanted Mark Jackson, but then, that's not going to happen. We're going to get David Blatt, and obviously he's in effect. And if David Griffin has to say that, to call out the quote-unquote narrative that LeBron doesn't run the organization, I think we're going to believe that he has a big stake in that organization.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants us to believe, LeBron, he had no probable cause to get Blatt fired. He definitely didn't push the Love Wiggins trade. He didn't do any of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, dude, all right, that makes sense, I guess. Not, but it is what it is.
Hopefully he gets a coaching job. He deserves a coaching job. It could be Minnesota.
I hear Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota. There's a tweet about that. It could be Minnesota. That would be...
I would love that.
That might show how much he loves Wiggins. and that would
Yeah.
probably be like the ultimate like fuck y'all. And also someone else said that how ironic is it that Steve Kerr came back the first day he comes back and David Blatt loses his job, like the finals. Like, oh my god, that's too much.
Lost his job
Anyway,
to Luke Walton, but yeah, I digress.